Howdy, howdy. Sue Devil here, and welcome to my top 5 infantry from 601 to 900 gold. This is infantry and an infantry on an infantry engagement, really just fighting other infantry. I wanted to see what are the best units, how do they rank out in this category. I do have a primer video that goes over the testing that I did. It shows exact examples of the testing and all the data. I did 420 total tests, took 1600 data points, and did quite a bit of analysis. I want to make sure that anyone who's watching this understands that this is just one piece of the puzzle. Puddle. It's just one piece of the puzzle. There are many ways to test units. There are many ways to evaluate units. I try to do my testing as clearly as possible that it can be repeated. And even though the results are objective to that test, which units I test are subjective. How I analyze the data is subjective. But I do tend to do back testing at the end to make sure that what I've done makes sense. I do have videos at 400 and under gold and 401 to 600 gold. This is really the meat of infantry in this game. These are some of the very best pound for pound units in the entire game. Every unit on this list you'll have seen fighting. You know, you're very common if you watch any kind of multiplayer. All of these units are pretty common, well, maybe with the exception of like just a couple, but this is the core units of almost every army. The only army, ironically, that has no units 601 gold to 900 are the Beastmen. Otherwise, everyone else has them. So, with that said, let's get going through the top 5 infantry from 601 to 900 gold. Coming in at number 5 was kind of a surprise. They've been recently buffed, so I guess they're a little bit better, and I'm okay with them being up here, and that is from the Lizardmen at 750 gold, the Saurus Warrior. Now, the tests that I did were against Hammers, Dwarf Warriors, Clan Rats to see how they could clean up and deal with high tier infantry and armored infantry, and Saurus Warriors do just fine, thank you very much. They're, pulling a reasonable amount of gold, and they're pulling pretty good value, and they're actually pretty decent. They don't have the shields, but they're reasonably armored. They have good damage per second. They have good weapon strength, decent armor piercing, pretty good leadership. They are a good all-arounder and represent the Lizardmen quite well in this category. And this is really where the vast majority of the meat and potatoes of the Lizardmen infantry are in this 601 to 900 gold category. All right, moving on. Coming in at number 4, another bit of a surprise because this unit is often maligned as trash. Turns out it isn't trash. And that is from the High Elves at 800 gold, the White Lion. White Lions, you hear often that they're underperforming units or they feel weak or they're not that good. Really, they can lay the smackdown. This is not even in Forest. They have a trait which is Forest Stalker or Woodsman or something. They do better in the Forest. They do get stat bonuses, but they're not bad all arounder. Now, I will say, one of the reasons they may seem, two reasons they may seem a little bit weaker if you do play White Lions in multiplayer is because of the martial prowess. Once they're below 50% health, they really start to fade away. So playing against good players, they won't focus your unit down completely. They can just focus until it's half health and move on to the next unit. So White Lions and the High Elves as a whole tend to fade in the fourth quarter. The second thing is they don't actually trade up that well, ironically. White Lions are pretty good at clearing trash. They were very good against the Clan Rats. They were strong against the Dwarf Warriors. They were very weak against the Hammerers. So, if you want to sort of understand White Lions a little bit better, if you do play the High Elves, they're a great unit. Bring them. I'm sure if you do play the High Elves, they're pretty decent. And really how you use them, the matchups you're looking for is they trade down very well. If you can find a unit that's 600 gold or a few bits of trash, they clear them out quickly and they do very good. And they're number 4 on our list, and deservedly so. All right, moving on. Coming in at number 3, and will garner lots of discussion from me, especially in the follow-up videos to come, are the Lizardmen at 800 gold with the Saurus Warriors with shields. Now, anyone who's done any testing knows they have 6 extra melee defense and they're only 50 gold more. Really, 4 stat points for 50 gold is about the right level, so they're getting an extra 2 stat points for free, essentially, plus they get the shield. I have talked about how units stratify quite a bit, and this is a perfectly counterintuitive unit. The Saurus Warriors with no shield should be better intuitively in an infantry fight than the Saurus Warriors with shields. You should have to give some sort of stats or value in this exact scenario when you grab that shield, but the Lizardmen don't. And even though the Saurus Warriors are good, there is absolutely no reason to ever bring them. Always bring the Saurus Warriors with shields. You get the shield, and they're just straight up better. Unless you only literally have 750 gold left and you want to bring one more Saurus. So, that is sort of the 3 through 5. Number 2 on this list. Now this unit of number 2 was the biggest surprise of all this testing. By a lot. And it's a surprise because I was shocked, A, that they were so good, and B, that you don't see them very much. I'm sure the people that play this faction will know a little bit more about this unit, because it is a beast in melee combat with other infantry, and that is from the greenskins at 900 gold, the Savage Orc Big Guns. These guys chew through everyone in an infantry fight, and they are an anti-large unit, so this is kind of one of those units that don't fit how it should. Now I understand they're vulnerable, they have no armor, even though they do have 25% physical resistance, but they have great stats, great weapon strength, they're big, like physically big, so I don't know if it's maybe that their weapons are a little bigger, they find it easier to hit things. They have good charge bonus, and they have frenzy, which is really good because you get extra stats, charge bonus, melee attack, and immunity to psychology. So they can actually be pretty difficult to kind of hit with a fear and terror bomb, which should be important in a greenskin army. You would think Savage Orc Big Guns would be quite popular because boy oh boy, they are really good in an infantry fight. Let me tell you, I'll show some of the testing at the very end to just because I do back testing to make sure that all my numbers and analysis seem to make sense. I thought, well, maybe I made a mistake, and I looked over the testing, and then I started testing against other units up here, and the Savage Orc Big Guns they're very good in an infantry fight. And then you put them up against large units, and they crush them too. So why don't we see a lot of greenskins players playing with Savage Orc Big Guns? I don't know. You do see them, but not that much, I think, which is strange. Well, maybe it's because orcs the greenskins have so much good infantry all around. But biggest surprise of this entire set of tests for me is the Savage Orc Big Guns at number 2. Now, number 1 is not the least surprising, it's the second least surprising. The number 28, the very worst unit in an infantry fight, is the least surprising of all the testing. So this is the second least surprising. I expected this unit to be up here somewhere. We know it's great. Anyone who's followed my channel for any amount of time and all the testing I do will know about these units because they are the pound for pound best armor piercing unit in the entire game, and that is from Chaos at 850 gold, the Chaos Warrior with great weapons. These guys are buzzsaws. They are so good. They trade up good, they trade down good, they have good stats, they have 100 armor, which is a really good stat point. They have armor piercing, they have good weapon strength, decent stats, they have good leadership even. I think 75 leadership, you know, that they're beastly units. And these units, I believe, are that have more credit to the success of Chaos as a faction than any other singular unit because they are so good and because armor is quite an important mitigating mechanic in this game. That armor piercing is more important than regular weapon strength, and Chaos Warriors with great weapons are excellent, and they're only 850 gold. Honestly, these guys are fantastic. We know from testing that they've been the pound for pound best armor piercing unit in the game for a long time. Turns out they are also the best infantry unit from 601 to 900 gold. No surprise to me, no surprise to anyone who's watched this channel. Anyways, hope you found this interesting. Love to hear comments down below on the top 5. I'd love hearing comments, and I'd love to hear from you. And with that said, I will see you soon.